Hello, my name is Noah, and this is what's putting faith in my jar this week. So today I decided that I'd like to share one of my favorite creative young people on the continent. Sorry, let's try that again. So today I would like to share one of my favorite young creatives on the continent. Her name is Koleka Putuma. Claps everyone, claps, yay for Koleka. So just to tell you a little bit about who Koleka is. Koleka is a young queer South African poet, writer and theatre maker based in Cape Town. I think she's also spent some time in Joburg, and she's originally from Port Elizabeth. She was actually born in 1993, which is shocking for me. It makes me feel old. So Koleka's work is really beautiful. It focuses around a lot of very tender, sometimes difficult themes: love, communication, growth, blackness, queerness, like just so many very meaty topics that she handles with a very gentle, loving hand. So she's well known for this book right here, Collective Amnesia. This was her seminal work. Came out, published in 2017 by Utlanga Press. I got mine signed. I don't know if you can see that. I was lucky enough to be in Cape Town at the time, so I got to attend one of the launches and get my copy signed, which was amazing. So they basically, in 2017, Koleka came out with this series of poems, and it was published by Utlanga Press, who've also published some other young South African women poets, particularly Maneo Mohale's Everything is a Deathly Flower, and also Megan Ross's Milk Fever. Those are two of my faves. So Utlanga Press had kind of been creating space for publishing poetry in the South African scene, really to make the point that there is in fact a market for contemporary South African poetry, if given the chance, which I think they proved very well, especially Koleka's work. She is probably one of the best-selling poets in South Africa. They've done, I think, almost 12 print runs at this point, which is unheard of for poetry. So she really proved that, there is room for these kind of voices and these kind of stories in the market. Often people get discouraged by, being told that you're too niche or too weird or too queer, too black, too young, too anything to really fit in the mainstream. But she's really proved that if you can find your voice and see a space for it and are surrounded by good people, that anything is possible. So she went on a huge tour around South Africa when she was launching the book, which included obviously all the big cities, Cape Town, Joburg, Durban, but also she made time for your PEs, your Kimberleys, Grahamstown, a lot of the smaller places that usually get missed along the way. She really made an effort to make herself accessible and available to literary fans around the country, which I think is really special, and is one of my favorite things about the way that she approaches her work. I get the feeling that she's very much thinking about the reader, from the beginning all the way through to the end, which I really appreciate. So they had a huge launch tour around South Africa. I also found it very interesting because she collaborated with an artist called Andy Mkosi. It's actually the photographer who took the cover image, and they also released a series of images to accompany the body of work. So her launch tour was actually an exhibition and a book sort of reading, which was really beautiful. It's really just, again, she has this way of showing how much space there is in the creative field for collaboration and for reimagining what we think traditional art could be, and making space for new voices and new ways of showing, you know, showing the same subjects. So Collective Amnesia has also been translated into so many languages, which is so exciting. It's been translated into Spanish, German, Dutch, Danish, Swedish, with forthcoming editions in Portuguese, Italian, and French, probably going to be even more. This is so exciting. I can't tell you how much seeing a young black woman's voice be translated into other languages really empowers me and lets me know that, you know, the narrative can sort of flow the other way. For a long time it was very much that we would read these books set in faraway places, you know, with names that we couldn't really pronounce, and you'd be wondering, like, you know, you'd have to do a lot of imagination to really like get into it. So it's nice to see that, okay, other countries, other readers in other countries would also read our voices and do that that imaginary stretch. Like, I mean, I'm explaining this really badly, but at some point I was part of a book club when I was in Cape Town. I was invited by a friend, even though she couldn't make it that day. And they were all very lovely ladies, but I was the only person of color at that session, which, you know, I would normally, I wasn't trying to make a big deal about it, but it did come up because, you know, one of the other ladies in the session was like, oh, you know, I don't know if I can really read Koleka's work because I don't know if I can understand it. I'm not a lesbian, I'm not, you know, black, like, it doesn't seem like it's for me. And I was really confused because I was like, girl, I've been reading Shakespeare my whole life. Do I look like an old white man to you? No, but you find a way to, I mean, part of the beauty and the work of reading is to remove yourself from your context and put yourself in the feet of another and see the world through the eyes of another and experience the world through the eyes of another. So the fact that there was this kind of resistance to Koleka's work particularly, I just found to be really a symptom of a larger problem in, you know, South African society, African society, just the general white supremacist notion that black people should always work to identify with other main characters, but as soon as the main character is black, like, nobody can identify with them. I just don't believe that's true. And that interaction was interesting to say the least, but it really did kind of make me sit with how close I feel to Koleka and her work, I guess because she is a young black woman, a young queer woman, a young African woman. I feel like I really relate to her in a lot of ways, even though I'm not from Cape Town, I don't speak Xhosa, you know, I didn't live through the legacy of apartheid. There's obviously, you know, certain parts where our paths aren't directly parallel, but if I can, you know, I don't know, she just really speaks to me in her work. So a lot of the poems were, so she had set them out in 3 different sections called Inherited Memory, Buried Memory, and Post Memory. And there's a lot of really, really beautiful poems in this work. Some of the more notable pieces that I will draw to attention is No Easter Sunday for Queers, which she worked with a few people to actually develop into a play, not a screenplay, a playwright whatever you call it, that they ended up actually performing in Cape Town, I think. I don't know if it was performed in Joburg, but yeah, they turned it into a whole play's manuscript, which I thought was really amazing, to sort of see the seed in the poem and do the work to develop it into something more. I just love the way that she keeps feeding back into herself and into her work and digging deeper into, you know, terrain that some might say has already been traversed quite a bit, and she just keeps bringing up more and more new sort of ideas of growth that I love. Yeah, so in No Easter Sunday for Queers, I won't get too much into the plot of the play. I think you can go and have a look about that, but she does, yeah, she just develops it really interestingly, and they ended up publishing the script of the play under her new company Mañana Media, which I actually want to tell you guys about. So basically what Koleka did, which is super exciting, is she created her own multidisciplinary creative company that empowers and produces stories and works by Black queer women. So basically, another one of the notable pieces that she is known for from this body of work was called Memoirs of a Slave and Queer Person, and it basically says, I don't want to die with my hands up or legs open. So in a lot of protest situations in South Africa, we started seeing this quote being used more and more on people's signs, on t-shirts, as captions